I was just looking at some video editing stuff on the couch, and Juliane leant over, and what did you say?
What is this 4-club juggling? Has this something to do with Wimpy? And
Wimpy, you knew about Wimpy.
Juggling? Yeah, you were tagged in a post.
Yeah, and here it is. And the post is by Loris Chunk Bruce. He says, "Juggling peeps, I have a question. Is it at all possible to do 4 clubs in a Wimpy?" And your question was?
What the hell's Wimpy?
Okay, well you take the camera and let's explain this. Okay, so Wimpy, very simple. Let's start with the 4-ball Wimpy. I will bring up now the editing thing. It's very simple. You just throw the balls across the other side. Wimpy is generally considered a sink crossing pattern. Okay, so this comes down to what is the essence of a juggling trick. And for Wimpy, there are a few things involved. First of all, generally considered synchronous throws. That is element or essence number 1. The other thing, but you can do that just with doing like columns or something, or a fountain with 4 balls, but the other thing is the balls have to cross.
So throws just mean they do the same, both happens in both hands at the same time.
Yeah, but this is the thing. With balls, it's very easy to do it with the same thing at the same time. However, there is another element in this pattern, another thing which makes this pattern the pattern, which is that it's also like a base pattern. It's not a trick. There aren't any trick throws in it. It's just, if you think about it, one ball going across and the other ball coming back across. Yeah, it's kind of a mirror down the middle, but more importantly, that there's nothing else interesting going on there. So let's say a base pattern.
So it's like a fountain.
Yeah, it's like a fountain or a cascade or something like that. Now, the good thing is with balls is that when you throw the balls past each other, it's quite easy just to do a little bit of a height fudge and a little bit of a timing fudge so that they miss each other, or just, you know, throw one in front and one behind, and they kind of cross. You know, sideways view, they cross that way.
Right. Now, otherwise they would collide, right?
They would collide,
yeah, okay.
Which is what happens if you try and do it with clubs. Here is me just generally trying to do the same thing with clubs. You throw them across and they bump into each other. Here's another clip, and they bump into each other. So that's the problem. Okay, so here is an issue that you have, okay? It's a base pattern. Now, there are a few things, and this is what people were talking about on that thread. They're saying, well, how about if you break some of these things? So there's different ways that you can break the pattern. And one way is you can do the throws out of sync. So this is throw, left, right, left, right, left, right. Or you can do it left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. But one of the main things for a Wimpy pattern is that it's generally considered to be sync crossing. The balls or the clubs are thrown synchronously. Now, there is a way of doing it synchronously, but then it's not a base pattern. It's not just the clubs, straight on clubs, and you throw them and they go around in front, okay? Yeah. There were a few other ways of doing it. So, but it means that it's not like just a base pattern with just a normal throw going from one hand to the other. And one of those is I can't remember what video I did first, which is, I guess, the scissors. So you throw one behind your back. Now, this is a sync crossing pattern. Does that make sense?
Is it still a Wimpy?
Well, it's not a Wimpy. It is 4 clubs sync crossing. Let's just watch a bit more of that. They're going across, and they're being thrown synchronously, but the whole concept is it's not a base pattern. You're doing a trick. Instead of throwing a club just like normally in front, you're actually turning a club 90 degrees. You're throwing it behind the back, but it doesn't really matter that you're doing behind back, because you can actually do scissors kind of like with a throw underneath, but you're not just doing a normal base throw where you're just holding the club straight onto the body, throwing it across like that, because I've lost the bit. Another way that you can do it is actually, which is a trick that I've never really learned, but I just gave it a go when I was outside before, which is to throw the clubs so they're not spinning forward, so they're kind of straight on. Now that, I don't think, is a real club pattern, because then you're losing the essence of a club, which is that a club flips end over end. What I'm doing there is just the ball pattern, but just ignoring the spin of the club. Does that make sense?
Flats?
Well, they're kind of flats, but they're kind of flat front, and they're going across. It's a really nasty trick. Like I say, I've never actually learnt the trick. I was just trying it for the first time. I was like, oh, I can get like 8 catches or whatever it is. So yeah, I wouldn't call that a base pattern with clubs, because if I'm just not treating the club as a club, I'm just treating it as a ball, but with handles and ends sticking out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I realized though, when I was kind of writing out what the essence of the Wimpy trick is here, you can have sync throws and they have to cross and it has to be a base pattern. But what isn't mentioned here in the essence of the trick is sync catches. Okay, it's kind of there if we have a look over here with the balls. I'm throwing the balls and I'm catching the balls at the same time, okay? Or with a slightly higher version, which is kind of slowed down a bit, I'm catching at the same time. But that isn't really in the essence, and you can actually see this if you look at the site swap, which I'm not going to go into now, but here's just a quick aside. If you look at the site swap, the 4-club Wimpy, it will look a bit like this. 4x and 4x, so it's sort of like a 4, and they're going across. But site swap never really describes the catch. So here is my version of a 4x, 4x, but I'm throwing them to different heights. In this case, a triple and a quad at the same time. Now, what's happening here is that I'm doing synchronous throws, but asynchronous catches, which means my left hand is empty for twice as long from the front. So my left hand is empty for much longer than my right hand.
That looks weird.
It does look weird. It's really, really satisfying to do. Or is it my, maybe I'm looking,
for you.
No, it's my left hand is empty. So here's a bit closer in. So sync throws, but so it's throw, catch, catch, 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 like that. So that is technically, if you want to look at it, this still fulfills all of the requirements of the sync throws, the crossing. It's a base pattern. It's just normal, you know, throws, and also it does the side swap, but it doesn't have sync catches. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sync catches. We just still want sync catches. So is there a way of doing this? I call that the 4-club Wimpy, and it's a really nice pattern, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do it. But so there is a way of throwing 2 clubs, what you would expect as a 4x, 4x, without them colliding, and it's really tricky, but it can look a bit like this. Okay, this is a crossing throws. Okay, looking good. And from the front, now it's really weird to see them half sideways on. Both of these clubs are crossing. You've just got to throw them so they miss each other, which is really, really tricky.
From the side, it looks like you're just throwing them up. And
yes, but they're actually crossing. And here, and those crossed, they're straight, those crossed, they're straight, those crossed, they're straight, and those crossed. But the point is, that pattern is way too difficult for me to do continuously. Like I'm doing sideways, columns, and then cross. Let's look at that one again, because why not? Because it's actually really tricky, and see if anyone can see the difference between the ones that are straight up. So there's a column, they crossed, column, they crossed, column, they crossed, column, they crossed, and collide. You see, that's how it's really hard to see what's going on. I think, did I get a video of me doing it from the front? But that was like the best I could do. The reason why this trick is so annoying, oh yeah, that's it. The reason why this trick is so annoying, because actually that throw to make those clubs miss each other in the air is really, really hard to do when you're doing sort of like, as you would expect, just normal 4-club columns, and, you know, on doubles. So let's see the same throw again with singles, where it is actually easier. So let's bring it back over here. So this is what it looks like with singles, you know. The way that you actually do this throw is really tricky. You've got to make sure that they pass each other when they're both vertical, because if they pass each other when they're horizontal, they bump into each other. So you see, as they're passing each other in the air, they have to be vertical. It's really hard, and you can do it quite easily with just 2 clubs. But again, it's as they're crossing each other, that's the other end, so they're crossing each other earlier. So that's tricky, and now let's have a look at the final version of 4-club Wimpy in singles, and with them crossing. So 2 columns and then crossing, and then back into columns. That's pretty much the best run that I did today with, let's have a look at that one again, of course. Back over here. So it goes column, crossing, and then back into columns again. So this pattern, I think, is the best version that I can do of 4-club Wimpy. Sync crossing throws. You've just got to make sure that when you do the throws, they cross each other when they spin around and when they're up to vertical, and that's when they go past each other, because if they don't, they bump into each other. It's really difficult. Unfortunately, not very satisfying, because it's just so difficult, and also not very interesting to watch either, because you don't really even see them going across. Question?
So, no, just to put it into like understandable words again. Yeah. Wimpy is just another category of a base pattern.
Well, it is a base pattern. It's sync crossing. It's a sync crossing pattern.
But like if you compare them, they're all like on the same level.
Well, yeah, let me show you. Did you see the previous video? And I did 8 balls Wimpy for 20 catches on stage in 2005. Did you see that one? You remember I showed you that video? The tricks I can't do. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so it is a base pattern. Yeah. Like when I performed 8 balls on stage, I do the Wimpy. When I've done 10 balls on stage, I've done the Wimpy. But the key thing is that what you actually have here, if you want to break it down to the base, there's actually 4 things you can do with a ball, with one ball. You can hold the ball until the next pattern. You can zip it across to the other hand. You can throw it to the same hand on the next beat, or you can throw it across to the other hand on the next beat.
Yeah.
And you can do, say, if you understand, so, okay, they stay in the same hand, they zip across, there's a column, or there's that. You know, it's one of the most basic things that you can do.
This is a Wimpy.
No, this is a Wimpy.
Ah.
But if you understand, like every beat, you know, every beat, only one thing is happening in both hands at the same time. So in the same way that a shower is a bass pattern, because it's just looping every beat. Every beat is the same thing the next time.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same actually with the cascade. Every beat is the same thing, but you know, they're mirroring each beat.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, every beat is the next thing. The same with this. Every beat is the same problem in the air, and the same with the Wimpy.
Right. Why is it called Wimpy?
I'm not entirely sure. It's back before my time, but when you do numbers juggling, the reason why people call it a Wimpy pattern is because it's one of the easiest to do like 8 balls with. That's why I did it on stage.
From the word wimp.
Yeah, it's a wimp. You're being a wimp doing that. It's actually more difficult with 8 balls to do the fountain because there's 2 different peaks at the top of the pattern. Whereas if you do this, there's only 1 peak. You've just got to make sure that they miss each other.
Okay.
Yep.
And from the front, it does actually look like you're just, yeah. It kind of looks more like
I'm trying to. It looks like this is happening. They're just coming back again.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's different ways of doing it. There's doing like the left one a bit higher or the right one a bit higher. Oh, the right one is difficult. I'm actually juggling above the height of the table here, like that. Or so yeah, that's pretty much the Wimpy. And let's see my favourite version. My favourite version with clubs back over here is this one. This is super satisfying because it just feels like a big pattern. And also the amount of time that your hand is left empty is really, really good fun. And the one that is most like the one that I did with balls is this one. 2, 3, 4, 5. I bet it's really hard. So I think that's it. All your questions are answered.
So the question on the internet, is a Wimpy possible with 4 clubs?
Yes, it is, in a few different ways, and that's what I thought I'd share.
Cool.